How many times have you found yourself accepting something you didn't want, pretending everything was fine, and accepting what, deep down, you knew you shouldn't? How many times have you heard, "It was just a joke," while inside, your blood was boiling? Well, it's time for that to change. In today's video, I'm going to show you the 7 behaviors you should never accept from anyone, in any situation. Don't miss number 5 because it will make you stronger. There's no more room to tolerate certain behaviors from anyone. No exceptions. Disrespect, emotional manipulation, those little jokes disguised as concern. Enough is enough. The Stoics were right. You can't control what others do, but you can decide how to put an end to it. And now, are you going to keep putting up with all of this? Believe me, every disrespect, every aggressive comment you let slide is a direct blow to your dignity. And your dignity, my friend, is not for sale. It's time to stop swallowing poison and start setting boundaries. The time for change is now. Let's get started. Attitude 1. Disrespect, the cost of accepting the unacceptable. How many times have you found yourself swallowing the pain of disrespect? A bad joke disguised as fun, a harsh criticism disguised as advice, silence when you needed support the most, and you, as always, smiling, pretending everything is fine, swallowing the words that should have been said. After all, that's how life works, right? Sometimes you even think it's easier to stay quiet, pretend nothing happened, so you don't cause a problem. But the truth is, inside, you're destroying yourself. When you let people hurt you, you slowly start distancing yourself from who you truly are. It's like, with every aggressive or demeaning word, a part of you gets lost, a piece of your confidence, a piece of your self-esteem, a fraction of your peace. And before you know it, what was once a small wound becomes a deep scar, and you no longer recognize who you are or what you deserve. The pain of disrespect isn't just emotional. It comes like a shadow in your soul, a feeling that something's wrong, but you don't know how to fix it. And do you know what's worse? It keeps growing inside you, fed by silence, passivity, until you get used to the humiliation. You begin to accept the unacceptable because you no longer feel worthy of more. The pain of disrespect becomes part of your daily life. But imagine a different scenario. Imagine that instead of bowing down, you stood tall and said, "This is not me. I won't be treated like this." Not with anger, not with hate, but with clarity, with the power of someone who knows their own worth. Because you have immense value, and no one should ever diminish that. Your dignity is non-negotiable, and it's time to truly understand that. Stop being treated like nothing. Respect isn't something you should beg for. It's not something that depends on anyone else but you. When you truly respect yourself, when you understand and feel that you deserve to be treated with dignity, it's impossible to let anyone devalue you. You will feel the power of setting boundaries, of saying no without guilt, of demanding what's rightfully yours. Peace doesn't come from pleasing others, but from being true to yourself. No more accepting what hurts you. No more allowing people to disrespect your essence, your light. What you accept, you end up allowing. And you don't need that. You don't have to live with the weight of every humiliation left behind, of every word that took your peace. It's time to take the reins of your life. It's time to demand respect. How long will you allow yourself to be treated with indifference? How long will you wait for someone to notice your pain? The moment is now, and in the next few minutes, you will change. Attitude 2. Physical or verbal abuse. Abuse, whether physical or verbal, leaves marks that go far beyond the body. The deepest wounds aren't the ones you can see, but those that stay in the soul, those that no one else can notice, but that over time turn into invisible scars, defining how you see yourself and how you allow yourself to be treated. Physical abuse is the most obvious, the one you can feel in every movement, every breath, the impact of the blow, the heat of the pain, the fear that takes over your chest. But even though the marks of physical abuse may fade over time, what it leaves inside you remains. The memories of abuse, the moments when your body was used as a target for aggression, stay with you. You start asking yourself, do I deserve this? And the answer, deep down, doesn't come. Self-worth disappears, and fear becomes a constant companion. Now, verbal abuse, often more silent, is equally destructive. Words can hurt in ways the body never could. A humiliating word, a cruel criticism disguised as, "I'm just telling the truth," an insult thrown carelessly with the intention to knock down your self-esteem. And the worst part is that, often, these violent words come from those we love or trust the most. They cut, scratch, and lodge themselves in our minds, repeating like an echo that never disappears. Verbal abuse leaves a constant pain, like a shadow that never moves away. And the cruelest part is that sometimes we convince ourselves we deserve what we hear, that we're weak or insufficient, because someone told us so. But the truth is that aggressive words don't reflect who we are, but rather what the other person carries inside themselves. Those who use verbal violence aren't attacking you. They're attacking themselves, their own frustration, their own insecurity. Both forms of violence, physical and verbal, have something in common. They try to diminish you, devalue your existence. They try to make you believe you don't have the right to be happy, to be respected, to be loved for who you are. But the reality is that no one has the right to take your peace away. So, no matter the situation, no matter who the person is, violence, in any form, has no justification. And that's where true strength comes in. You don't have to submit to this. You don't have to accept someone destroying your self-esteem with poisonous words or aggressive actions. You have the right to defend yourself, to protect yourself, to set boundaries, to put an end to any form of violence because you, and only you, know your worth. Your greatness will not be defined by physical or verbal aggression. When you're attacked, whether physically or verbally, what's being targeted isn't your worth, but the other person's inability to see your value. It's time to stop accepting any form of violence, whether against your body or your soul. You are so much bigger than any aggression. You deserve respect, so make it clear in the comments for everyone to see. I deserve respect. Attitude 3. Emotional manipulation, the invisible pain. Emotional manipulation is one of the most subtle and, at the same time, devastating forms of abuse. Unlike physical or verbal violence, which leaves visible marks, emotional manipulation works in the shadows, slowly entering your mind and heart, making you doubt yourself and feel guilty for something you didn't do. It's sneaky, disguised as love, concern, or even good intentions. But deep down, it seeks to control, dominate, and diminish your emotional freedom. Imagine being in a relationship, whether with a partner, friend, or even a family member, where you always feel at the center of an emotional whirlwind. Everything seems to depend on the other person's mood. Your happiness becomes subordinate to how they feel. If the person is sad, you feel sad too. If they are angry, you get anxious, trying everything to calm them down, without ever fully understanding the real reason for the anger. In moments of affection, you feel loved, but then you're consumed by guilt, as if something went wrong, even when nothing actually did. This is the essence of emotional manipulation, a roller coaster of emotions that leaves you exhausted and lost, not knowing where you end and where the other person begins. Emotional manipulation works by creating an emotional dependence that distorts your perception of yourself. It may start with a simple comment, like, "You're always exaggerating," "You're being dramatic," or, "If you really loved me, you'd do this for me." At these moments, you start questioning your natural reactions, your emotions, your boundaries. You feel like you're not being understood, but at the same time, you're afraid to defend yourself or question the manipulator. The emotional manipulator weaves an invisible web, making you constantly feel obligated to give more of yourself, to ignore your own needs in order to fulfill the others. And what becomes clear in the end is that your emotions are no longer yours. They become a reflection of what the other person wants you to feel. One of the greatest dangers of emotional manipulation is that it often disguises itself as love or care. The manipulator may make you believe they're acting this way because they care so much about you, and that's where the confusion starts. You, who feel immensely grateful for their attention or affection, end up accepting the abuse disguised as love. You try to rationalize the emotional pain, telling yourself it's not that serious, that they're just trying to help. But in reality, you're losing yourself, losing your identity, your peace of mind, your sense of reality. Emotional manipulation can manifest in various ways: emotional blackmail, guilt, constant victimization, the invisible power play where your emotions and decisions are constantly questioned. With each new situation, you feel more insecure and more dependent on the other person's approval. Over time, you begin to believe your emotions are wrong, that your reactions are exaggerated, and that everything you feel needs to be validated by the manipulative person in order to have value. This dynamic becomes even more toxic when the manipulator exploits your vulnerability. They know exactly where to press, which button to push to make you give in, making you feel guilty or ashamed for something that isn't your fault. The emotional manipulator reinforces the idea that without them, you wouldn't be able to make decisions on your own. Little by little, you begin to lose yourself, as if you've become a shadow of who you truly are. But the good news is that when you recognize this pattern and start understanding the game you're caught up in, the first step to freeing yourself from emotional manipulation is realizing that your feelings matter, that your boundaries must be respected, and that you have the right not to accept being treated this way. Emotional manipulation is a form of abuse. No matter how much it seems like affection or concern, no one has the right to control your emotions, make you doubt who you are, or diminish your essence. Free yourself. Start making space for your emotional truth, for your authenticity. Manipulation only has power as long as you allow it. Don't let anyone distort your feelings or control your mind. You deserve respect, sincerity, and, above all, you deserve to be treated with the same consideration you offer to others. If what you're hearing is valuable to you, go ahead and subscribe and leave a like. Let's keep going because the best is yet to come. Attitude 4. Lies. How many times have you heard someone say, "It's no big deal, it's just a little white lie," or "It doesn't matter, no one will notice"? The problem is that a lie is never small for long. It grows, and when it starts to grow, it destroys everything it touches. What began as an omission turns into a whole web of falsehoods, where one lie justifies another, and you find yourself trapped in a net that, at some point, will swallow you up. Lies don't just stay in words. They begin to invade your thoughts, erode your trust, and the truth starts to fade. When someone lies to you, it's as if they're trying to erase your truth, as if they're trying to change the reality around them with a brush of falseness, painting a distorted image of who they really are. It might seem like something small, an innocent lie, a word said to avoid confrontation or protect feelings, but the harsh truth is, lies, no matter how small, grow. They spread like a disease, seeping into your relationships, your emotions, and, the most painful part, within yourself. Over time, they turn everything around you into a toxic place where nothing feels real anymore. But the most pressing question is, what do you do now? You have the power to change the situation. You have the right to demand respect. The first thing you need to do is stop allowing lies into your life. Distance yourself from those who have the audacity to disrespect your essence with false words. This isn't an act of revenge, it's an act of self-love. It's not about attacking or punishing, but about protecting yourself, stepping away from something that is slowly eating you from the inside. The hardest part is that lies don't just destroy the trust of the person they are told to, but also the trust you have in yourself. Because every lie you hear, every lie someone tells you, you start questioning yourself. You begin to feel that the person doesn't trust you enough to be honest, and that hurts. Lies start building an invisible wall between you, a wall of disrespect that, with every new lie, becomes harder to break. If you keep allowing this, you're drifting further away from your own truth. You begin to live in a world where words don't match reality, where everything said feels like a game, and over time, the weight of it becomes unbearable. I know you can feel the pain of being deceived, of being treated as if your emotions and trust don't matter, because a lie isn't just a wrong word. It's an open wound that, no matter how hard you try to ignore it, never stops bleeding. The cruelest part is that when someone lies to you, it's not just their trust that breaks. You begin to doubt yourself too. You start questioning your own ability to perceive the truth, your own view of the world. With each lie, you lose more of yourself. You can't keep allowing your truth to be overshadowed by lies. When you distance yourself from liars, you're giving yourself a chance to regain your inner peace, to become who you truly are again, without masks or falsehoods. You need to understand that lies, no matter how much they try to trap you, will never last forever. The truth will emerge with strength, and when it does, you'll be ready to embrace it, because it's the truth that brings freedom. There's nothing more liberating than being who you really are, without the fear of judgment, without hiding behind false words. You deserve a world where trust and truth are the foundation. You deserve relationships where sincerity isn't an exception, but the rule. Stop deceiving yourself. Don't accept anything that isn't genuine. Stay away from lies, from those people who don't have the respect to be truthful with you. You don't deserve to be treated as just a part of someone else's story, only deserving of what they want you to believe. Your soul doesn't deserve this kind of deception. Your peace doesn't deserve to be destroyed. And believe me, when you choose the truth, you choose freedom. Attitude 5. Humiliation. Humiliation is a deep wound that leaves invisible but strong marks. When we are humiliated, it's not just our dignity that is attacked. Our identity and self-worth are challenged. The feeling of being lowered in front of others, of being treated as inferior, is a blow no one wants to suffer, but one that often becomes inevitable at some point in life. The problem isn't just the humiliation itself, but what it makes us believe about ourselves. How can we recognize humiliation? It shows up in various ways. Words, disrespect, jokes that place us in a lower position, contemptuous attitudes. It can come from the least expected people, family, co-workers, or even strangers. But the most dangerous thing isn't just the act itself, but what it awakens in us. The fear of failure, the feeling of shame, the desire to disappear, to stop existing. Humiliation makes us doubt our own strength and makes us believe we don't deserve respect. Now the big question, how do we avoid humiliation? The first thing is to understand that it's not a sentence. Just because someone tries to humiliate us doesn't mean our dignity should be taken away. The secret is how we react to it. When humiliation happens, what we often want is to respond with anger, harsh words, with revenge. But that's the trap. Giving power to those who try to humiliate us is a fatal mistake. By reacting with impulsive emotions, we lose the chance to take control of the situation and remain firm. So, what should we do? React with calmness, with emotional intelligence, with dignity. This is what Stoicism teaches us. The reaction is ours, and only ours. Humiliation can be an opportunity to showcase our greatness. By maintaining control over our emotions and not allowing humiliation to deeply affect us, we turn the situation into a chance to demonstrate our inner strength. But how do we avoid being humiliated, especially by people who intentionally try to belittle us? Set clear boundaries. Those who attempt to humiliate us are often testing our limits, waiting to see how far they can dominate us. Be firm and show that you won't accept being treated disrespectfully. Remember that respect starts within you. If you don't respect yourself, the world around you will hardly do so either. Another important point is self-confidence. The more secure you are in who you truly are, the harder it will be for any humiliation to touch you. When you are clear about your worth, when you know your strength and principles, the words or actions of those who try to put you down lose their power. Also, don't engage with those who disrespect you. Distance yourself from toxic people who constantly try to humiliate or belittle you. You have the right to choose who you share your energy with. Humiliation, while painful, doesn't have to be the end. It can be the moment when you reconnect with your true strength and reaffirm your dignity. By recognizing the signs, setting boundaries, and cultivating self-confidence, you become immune to this pain. Don't allow humiliation to define who you are. Instead, use it as fuel to become stronger, more determined, and more resilient. Because in the end, those who truly respect you don't need to humiliate you, and those who humiliate you will never deserve your respect. Attitude 6. The excessive control of another person. Excessive control by another person is one of the cruelest forms of emotional imprisonment, and it's often hard to notice that you are being controlled as it starts subtly, disguised as concern, love, or even care. At first, it might seem like the person is just trying to help, guiding your choices. But soon you realize that, over time, everything you do or think is being influenced by them. Your feelings are manipulated, your decisions are questioned, and you begin to feel more and more distant from yourself, as if you're living someone else's life, not your own. People who try to control others do so because, deep down, they have no control over their own lives. They seek to fill the emptiness they feel by trying to mold others according to their needs, insecurities, and desires. They make you believe you're doing something wrong or that you'll only be happy if you follow their rules. And when you try to assert yourself, break free, or even breathe, the pressure increases. Guilt, insecurity, and feelings of inadequacy start to invade your mind. You feel like you can't be yourself without being criticized or diminished. This starts to consume you. Each day you lose a little more of yourself. You begin to feel incapable of making decisions on your own because you always need approval, permission, validation. You start to think your wants don't matter, that your opinions are worth nothing. Criticism becomes frequent, comparisons constant, and no matter how hard you try, you never feel good enough. The constant search to please the other person destroys your self-esteem and confidence. Your life becomes a cycle of attempts to fit into someone else's expectations, until one day, You don't even know who you are anymore. You begin to realize that what seemed like love was nothing more than disguised control. The person watches you, observes you, questions where you are, who you're with, what you're doing. Your privacy no longer exists. Conversations become increasingly about the choices you make, as if your freedom were a privilege to be granted, not a right. This kind of control pushes you away. Slowly, you begin to distance yourself from the people who really matter, friends, family, the things that make you feel good, and without even realizing it, you find yourself alone, trapped by someone who doesn't let you be who you truly are. Leaving such a relationship is a big challenge, but it is possible. The first step is realizing what's happening. You're not weak for noticing you're being manipulated. In fact, the first sign of strength is the courage to face the truth, even when it hurts. When you understand that love is not control, that no one has the right to erase your essence, you begin to take the first steps toward freedom. The second step is to set boundaries. Define what you will and won't accept. Don't be afraid to say no. You have the right to be who you are without needing permission. If the person tries to make you feel guilty, manipulating your emotions, remember, the guilt isn't yours. You're not doing anything wrong by seeking your freedom. Reclaim your space, restore your friendships, your interests. Start making decisions for yourself without needing someone else's approval. It will be difficult at first because the controller will resist. They will try to make you feel bad, try to convince you that you're doing something wrong. But remember, you don't owe anyone the obligation to be something you're not. Your happiness and well-being are the most important, and if necessary, seek help. Talking to someone who understands you, seeing a professional, could be the key to understanding the situation better and breaking free from this emotional prison. True freedom begins when you recognize that you are the owner of your life. No one can control you if you don't allow it. Self-love, confidence, and the courage to stand your ground are the greatest allies in this process. Never allow anyone to steal your identity, your essence, or your right to live the life you've chosen. Remember, you have the right to be happy, to be free, to be yourself, and no one can ever take that away from you. Arrogant behavior is a form of protection that people afraid of their own vulnerability create for themselves. It's not a display of strength, but a cry of pain disguised as superiority. When someone acts with disdain or tries to belittle others, whether through harsh words or contemptuous looks, they're actually expressing deep fragility. Behind this facade of superiority is a huge fear of not being enough, of not being truly seen or recognized. Arrogance comes from inner emptiness, the desire to protect oneself from a world that feels threatening. Don't be fooled. Those who place themselves above others are just trying to hide their own insecurities and pain. They see themselves as isolated, trying to prove something they deep down know isn't true. They feel small inside and try to build an empire of sharp words and haughty looks to cover up their weakness. But the truth is, no one is superior to anyone else. Stoicism teaches us that no matter how society places us on different pedestals, we are all equal in the face of life. We all have our struggles, our falls, and most importantly, our humanity. True greatness is not about feeling above others, but about recognizing that we are all flawed, human, and imperfect. How do you deal with the arrogance of someone who tries to belittle, dismiss, or treat you with contempt? Don't play into it. Don't react with anger or sharp words. The power lies in staying calm and firm in your inner peace. When someone tries to hurt you, remember, their words only have power if you allow them to. You have control over how you feel and how you respond. True strength is not letting it affect you. Take a deep breath and maintain your peace. And one more thing, distance yourself from that person's life. Don't take anything personally. It's hard, I know, but what isn't hard in life? This is what it takes for emotional freedom. When someone acts arrogantly, it's like they're showing an open wound. When someone treats you with disdain, they're internally crying for help, for validation, for something they've never been able to find within themselves. Arrogance is a clear sign of hidden vulnerability, and those who defend themselves with arrogance are actually fighting the fear of being seen as weak or insignificant. The answer to this behavior isn't revenge, but understanding. Yes, understanding. Because instead of retaliating, you can look beyond the arrogance and see the pain it hides. Maybe this person is carrying old wounds. Maybe they've been rejected and humiliated at some point in their life. Maybe they feel they need to constantly defend themselves, protect themselves. And by realizing this, you gain something powerful. Compassion. Not compassion from a place of superiority, but understanding that arrogance is a reaction, not a core characteristic. Another important step is to set boundaries. This isn't being rude, it's being firm in your self-respect. You have the right to be treated with dignity, and there's no shame in setting limits on disrespectful behavior. Stoicism teaches us that being strong doesn't mean accepting everything without reacting, but acting with integrity. When someone tries to belittle you, show through your actions that you respect yourself enough not to allow disrespect to reach you. Saying no calmly but firmly is an act of self-care. And by doing this, you're preserving your peace, your dignity, and often opening the way for the other person to learn to respect themselves too. And remember, example is always stronger than words. When confronted with arrogance, don't let yourself be dragged down to their level. Your true strength lies in staying true to your truth without needing to fight for it. Your peace, your integrity, and your ability to avoid getting involved in drama are the greatest signs of power. The arrogant behavior of others says nothing about your truth, and by maintaining your calm, your dignity, and your compassion, you're proving to yourself that true greatness comes from within. There's no need to rise above anyone, because we are all equal in life. Arrogance is a broken reflection of unhealed pain. When you don't allow yourself to be affected, you become stronger, more whole, and, by staying firm, you end up lighting the way for those who may not even know how to free themselves from their own masks. This philosophy isn't for everyone, but for those who seek truth. What I've shared with you isn't something achieved overnight. It's an internal building process that requires time and dedication. I like a phrase that says, "A person who builds themselves through difficulty is strong. One who builds themselves through ease is weak." If you feel you're ready to take the next step, write, "I've come this far," and share this video with anyone you believe needs this message. Leave your like and subscribe now. Look at the screen. What you see there isn't just a video. It's the key to your transformation. Don't waste time. Continue this journey. What comes next could change everything for you. Click the video if you want more wisdom, and I'll see you there.